Hello.
Hello.
We are Mac.
And Jose.
And we are the Yooper Farmsteaders.
Yep.
Today we're going to be sharing with you the 5 things you want to consider before having chicks arrive on your property. So Jose.
What?
What did we get in our email last night?
Chicken is coming.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, only chicken.
Wait, what about our ducks?
I don't know.
It's true. The chickens shipped early yesterday morning and the ducks did not ship until last night. So we have emails that as of last night, the chicks were in St. Paul, Minnesota, and the ducks were still in California.
Oh no.
Which means the chicks should arrive today.
Probably they are happy in California knowing.
Yeah, because it's cold here. And that's one of the issues we've had is we've gotten a lot of snow, probably a foot or more in the last 2 days. We have not been able to go out and get everything we need for the chicks. Luckily we built the brooders, but we still need to pick up the feeder, the waterer, the bedding, and the feed itself. So today we're going to talk to you about the 5 things you want to consider before you get chickens. Are you ready, Jose?
Yeah, 5.
Yeah, 5 things. Number 1, you want to first think about how much space you need because that's the size of brooder you're going to want to build. If you're just getting a few birds, maybe 4 or 5, you can just do it in a plastic tote. But as the numbers get larger, and if you're doing a farmstead, you probably want to be running more birds. I would guess than 4 or 5. You may want to be doing meat birds.
Chicken nuggets.
Wow, you're cut off. Jose, just so you know, these are our egg layers, not meat birds. You may want to be doing some sort of specialty birds like turkeys. So you really need to think about how much space you need. In general, for chicks, you want about a half a foot of space per bird. So we built our coops 4x4 so that we would have just over a half a foot of space per bird. And one of the things that we're considering is that because we're ordering late in the year rather than in the spring, there won't be a warm-up. So they'll probably spend more time in the brooder. I would imagine an extra week or 2 before we can put them out into the coop. You also want to be thinking about your coop design. And we designed and built our own. And if you're interested, we will show you the design we did for our chicken coop. So we just did up a nice little design like this on a piece of paper. But the design is really going to help you know what you want your layout to be, what you want it to look at. It'll help you with the building. We also are making a video about that, so as soon as that video is ready, we will link it to this video so you can see both of them. The second thing you want to consider is how you're going to keep your little chicks warm, because one of the things that will kill your chicks very fast is the cold. Jose, what are you doing?
Chickens are cool.
They're cold?
Yeah.
Oh, well, why are you taking the jackets out and the gloves?
For chickens.
Okay, they don't need that. They just need the heat lamps.
Oh.
In their first few days, you want to keep them around 90 to 92 degrees. You can drop the temperature back a little bit from there later in the week. And as a general rule of thumb, people say to lower it 5 degrees a week. What I really do is pay attention to what the chicks are doing. If the chicks are huddled under the heat lamp, they're cold and probably need more warmth. If they're spread out all over the coop, they're plenty warm and you can raise up your heat source or remove your heat source altogether. So you just need to be paying attention to how warm your chicks are. We opted to use heat lamps. So one of the things you have to worry about with chicks that you don't usually have to worry about with ducks is that chicks tend to pick on each other, especially if one of the birds has any sort of an issue. They will peck at it and pick at it. So that can be frustrating. One of the ways to mitigate this is to use the red heat lamps rather than the white bulbs. So what I do for the chicks is I put in a 250 watt red bulb and then I just use 125 watts so they have some light off to the side, not really for any extra heat. And we haven't had any trouble with these guys pecking at each other, but we also don't have very many chicks in this really big brooder, so they have plenty of room to spread out. The next thing is to think about the feed that you want to use. I personally like to use an organic feed. It tends to be a little more expensive, but because I like to purchase organic for myself, I also like to be putting organic feed into the animals that I'm using to feed our family. You can just use a standard chick starter from any Tractor Supply or any of the
Hey, welcome.
or any of the farm stores that are out there. They'll all have some sort of chick starter. So these are perfect little water containers. Then I got some of these little feed containers. I'm not sure, it depends on how much feed the chicks and ducks are going through, but at least one of these per brooder, but I got enough to do 2 per brooder. So disappointingly, our chicks did not arrive in the condition we would like to have. They arrived probably 2 days late. The post office shipped them from Minnesota all the way to Billings, Montana, which was about a 24-hour trip in the wrong direction, round trip. So we ended up losing quite a few of our baby chicks, which is disappointing. So we only have 9. So we are using just 1 waterer and just 1 feeder in the chick brooder. When chicks eat, they use grit to grind up their food, and this grit sits inside of their, well, I don't know what the name of it is, but it sits in there and grinds up their food. So what you need to do is sprinkle some grit on their feed for the first couple of days to make sure they're getting that grit in their stomach. If you have them outside on the ground, they're probably getting that on their own. But if you have them on some pine shavings, you definitely need to add grit to their feed. Let me show you how I do that. So I'm just using a fine grit here. I have a little bit in my hand, and I'm just sprinkling it around their food dish, on their food, and a little bit on the ground. And then, just like your ducks, your chicks like fresh fruits and vegetables. So I'm going to add a little bit to their cage during the morning feeding and the evening feeding. And this time of year, we have a lot of extra apples. So I've also been cutting up apples to put in there with the mix. This morning, though, I have some kale, some dandelion greens, cabbage, and then I also have the scraps left over from my cucumber and a little bit of carrot. And how much to feed your birds? Really, I think when they're this young, it's basically a free feed system. You don't have to measure it out. I just, if they're going through their feed, I just continue to add more feed or add more often and let them eat as much as they want. Not like him, because he gets fat.
No.
The next thing is what type of shavings you'll be using. Generally, it's just a standard pine shaving. And then we also got shavings right here. I've never done these mini flakes before, but the lady at the store said these are really good for your baby birds. I don't know. Maybe they're all the same. I guess we'll find out. So this brooder is just modified from our duck brooder. Usually the duck brooder would have a wire mesh here, but we've just set a piece of plywood on top of it. So the chickens will stay warm and toasty. And the last thing is how often you're going to be cleaning out your brooder. Obviously, the smaller your brooder compared to the number of birds, you're going to be cleaning it a lot more often. A lot of people I notice with larger brooders just add more shavings over the top of the old shavings as those shavings get dirty. And one of the good things about doing that is actually as you add more shavings over the old shavings begin to compost, and so they create heat within the brooder to help keep your chicks warm. But for us, we will probably be cleaning ours out. And in the beginning, when your birds are small, it doesn't need to be cleaned very often. But as your birds get bigger, you'll need to be cleaning a lot more often. And you want to make sure you're set up before they arrive. That'll give the shavings a chance to warm up and get up to a nice temperature before you add your little chicks. So hopefully later today we get the phone call that the chicks are at the post office. Yeah, and we can go pick them up. Anything else, Jose?
Subscribe.
Oh yeah, subscribe to our channel. If you're a farmsteader or a homesteader or a small scale farmer, you live in the UP, you think him and I are kind of funny, which we try to be sometimes.
Do you have chicken or?
Do you have chickens? We would love to subscribe to your channel, see what it is that you're doing with your chickens. What does your coop look like? What do your brooders look like?
Yep.
All right, yeah.
Comment.
Add some comments. All right, we are Mac.
And Jose.
And we are the Yooper Farmsteaders. Jose.
What?
What sound does a chicken make?
Pew, 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 pew.
Okay, whatever.